Welcome to Lesson 3 of Singularity Sanctuary's course on Ethics and Technology, an argument for adopting the humanistic ethic. In our first lesson, we talked about ethics as character, about our need to learn ethics so we are not simply reacting to circumstances, incentives, or pressures, but developing a reliable moral core to guide our choices. In our second lesson, we explored three primary moral approaches human beings use to make ethical decisions: rules, outcomes, and values, or virtues. As different as these approaches are, they all share one thing in common. To be of any value at all, they require that we first be persons of strong moral character. Without that, moral reasoning becomes unstable, selective, and easily bent toward self-interest. In this lesson, we turn to a deeper and more difficult question. If knowing the difference between good and evil is a perennial problem, how can we ever know whether our moral choices are truly ethical? It's an important question, and the honest answer is that we can't, at least not with certainty. None of our ethical frameworks is perfect, which is precisely what makes ethics a perennial problem. Rule-based ethics can become fixated on rules themselves, even when those rules cause harm or injustice. Outcome-based ethics can focus so intensely on where we end up that it overlooks the damage done along the way. And value-based ethics is only as strong as the values we hold, and our willingness to live by them when doing so is difficult. Recognizing this uncertainty, the 20th century social psychologist and humanist thinker Erich Fromm offered a novel and I think profoundly practical response. Fromm acknowledged that ethics poses an epistemological problem. If we insist on grounding ethics in some absolute universal truth, prescribed by God, nature, or a transcendent authority, we quickly reach an impasse. So instead of trying to solve that problem, Fromm chose to bypass it. He proposed that we approach ethics honestly from within our limited human perspective and simply admit that's what we're doing. As Fromm put it, formally, the humanistic ethic is based on the principle that only man himself can determine the criterion for virtue and sin, and not an authority transcending him. From this standpoint, Fromm defined the humanistic ethic as one in which the sole criterion of ethical value is always human welfare, and which the unfolding and growth of every person is the aim of all social and political activities. At this point, two important questions immediately arise. First, how do we decide what is genuinely good for humanity? And secondly, what about the welfare of other creatures and the planet we depend upon? To answer these questions, it's essential to understand that the humanistic ethic is not anthropocentric in the narrow sense. Anthropocentrism places humans at the center while disregarding the rest of life. The humanistic ethic, by contrast, recognizes that human beings are embedded in and dependent upon the natural world and other living beings. Here, the work of Abraham Maslow helps clarify what this means. If we take Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a reasonable summary of what human beings require to thrive, we see that the lower half of the pyramid concerns general human welfare: food, shelter, safety, health. These needs cannot be met without a healthy environment. Clean air, clean water, a stable climate, and a living planet are not optional extras, they are ethical necessities. Concern for the environment, then, is not separate from human ethics. It is foundational to it. The upper levels of Maslow's hierarchy focus on individual unfolding, meaning creativity, love, self-actualization. To reach these levels, human beings must develop their emotional and moral capacities, including empathy. And genuine empathy does not stop at the boundaries of our own species. To become fully human is to expand our moral concern beyond ourselves, to recognize and respond to suffering wherever it exists, including among non-human beings. For this reason, the humanistic ethic is not narrowly human-centered. It recognizes that human flourishing depends on our relationship to life as a whole. If this way of grounding ethics feels unfamiliar, it may help to notice how deeply rooted it already is in human history. One of the earliest expressions appears in the universal golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or stated negatively, do not do to others what you would not want done to yourself. Here again we see ethics grounded in human experience. We know what is right and wrong by recognizing ourselves in others. This intuition was later reframed in Enlightenment philosopher Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. No person should ever be treated merely as a means to someone else's ends, but should always be considered an end within themselves. People are not tools. They are not resources. They are not expendable. During the French Revolution, this same ethical orientation found political expression in what we now call the inherent worth and dignity of every person, a principle that remains at the heart of the world's democracies. The Golden Rule, Kant's categorical imperative, and democracy's most celebrated ideal all suggest the same thing. Placing human welfare and flourishing at the center of moral concern is not unusual at all. It may in fact be the most enduring ethical principle we have. I find Fromm's 20th century formulation especially compelling because it aligns so clearly with the full spectrum of human need, from basic welfare to individual unfolding, and because it offers a practical ethical compass without pretending to solve the unsolvable. This ethical vision already underlies much of our technological ambition today, often implicitly. When people speak of empowering humanity, alleviating suffering, expanding opportunity, curing disease, or creating abundance, they are speaking the moral language of the humanistic ethic. The coming technological singularity is not a break from this tradition, it is its continuation. It is the product of centuries of confidence in human reason, human agency, and human possibility. But technological power magnifies whatever ethical orientation guides it. Without a commitment to human welfare, dignity, and growth, progress becomes hollow or dangerous. With that commitment, technology becomes one of the greatest tools humanity has ever created for reducing suffering and expanding possibility. In the lessons ahead, we'll apply this ethic to real technological dilemmas: artificial intelligence, automation, surveillance, environmental impact, and beyond. But everything that follows rests on this foundation. Character shapes ethics. Ethics guides moral reasoning, and the humanistic ethic gives us our moral North Star. In an age of unprecedented technological power, it reminds us of something both ancient and urgently modern, that our tools should help us become more human, not less.